If you've watched part one of this series, welcome back. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Anna. I'm a highly sensitive mother and entrepreneur. And in this little series, I share silly little things that no business coach, no social skills course, and no self-help book has ever told me. Part one was about the personal habits, the things I do before I even leave the house, before I even open up the laptop. Part two here is about what I'm doing when I'm actually with people. And trust me, this list is even longer. So part one is energy scanning. The moment I walk into a room where other people are, it can be any room, a meeting, a cafe, a friend's house, a family dinner, something happens automatically before I even said hello. I scan. Not visually, but energetically. I'm reading the room. Is there any tension here? Is someone upset or angry, pretending not to be? Is this a relaxed space, or is this something unspoken that is sitting in the air? And the reason I'm doing this, though it took me quite some years to understand, is that I'm asking myself a fundamental question. Is it safe to be here? Is it safe to fully be myself? Or do I need to brace for something? And for a long time, I thought that was anxiety. I thought something's wrong with me because I just couldn't walk into a room and be myself without scanning automatically. But here's what I've come to understand. This is not anxiety. This is data collection. My nervous system is highly attuned to subtle signals that most people generally miss. Micro expressions, shifts in energy, the quality of the silence in a room. So the difference now is that I use this information consciously instead of letting it overwhelm me. I walk in, I scan, I know what I'm working with, and then I decide if I want to show up and how I want to show up. And that is not a weakness. That is a superpower with a very long learning curve. Number two, I'm always early. I'm almost never late. And I want to be honest about why. Because it's not just being organized. It's not just about being respectful of other people's time, though that is part of the deal. It is because I know how it feels to wait for somebody. And as a highly sensitive person, waiting carries a particular weight. It's the not knowing. It's a slight anxiety of wondering if something is wrong. That energy of expectation that builds in the body when someone said they'd be there and then there isn't. I feel it deeply when it happens to me. And because I do so, I refuse to create that experience and tension for someone else if I can help it. So being early is totally not an act of empathy for me. It's saying your nervous system matters. I thought about you before I arrived. And there's another layer to it. Arriving early gives me time to settle in the space before the energy fills up. I get to be there first. I feel how the room is quiet or not. I can ground myself. And for an HSP, those few minutes early are worth everything. Number three, noticing the unseen person. This one happens in groups, and I don't think I could stop even if I tried. Whenever I'm in a group setting, that could be a dinner, that could be a meeting of any kind, I automatically scan for the person who isn't speaking, for the one who's slightly on edge in the circle, who laughed a little too quietly, or he's just a little more present, but energetically somewhere else. And I gravitate towards that person. Not in an obvious way, not in I identified you as the quiet one way, but in a way that feels more like really genuinely being interested in who they are. It's just a question directed in a way, a moment of eye contact, making sure that that person feels seen, even though they are the most quiet one, the one that normally gets overlooked. And I do this because I know how it feels like to be the one who's overlooked, the one that has a lot going on internally, but can't always find the opening to let it out, the one who leaves the gathering feeling like she was there, but she was not quite seen. And if I can change that for someone, I will, every single time. Number four, the way I give feedback. This one is the most professional, relevant habit I have. When I need to give critical feedback to a collaborator, to a client, in a conversation, in any situation where I'm pointing to something that isn't working quite well, I'm really deliberate in how I do that. Not because I'm conflict avoidant. I was for most of my life, totally admitting, but that's a different story. This is because I understand something about how words land in the body, especially if you're sensitive. And a callous delivered critique doesn't just pass through, it really sits. You could carry it with you for years. It can undo hours of confidence in seconds, so I'm precise. I'm neutral. I try to be observative without judgment. I say things like, I noticed instead of that was wrong. I said, what's the intention behind it before I said, that didn't work for me. And this is not about softening the truth. This is more about letting the truth be here, but be observed, delivering it in a way that the other person can actually get it, open up, and not close their hearts to protect themselves without ever getting the message that I try to deliver, without their nervous system shutting down before I have even finished my sentence. Because the feedback that lands is worth 10 times more than the feedback that technically was said but never really got to the person in a good way. And number 5, crowds, smaller groups, and leaving early. And here I want to talk about something that took me years to figure out and that completely changed how I experience social situations. I used to avoid crowds, big gatherings, busy events, anything with a lot of people in it and a lot of noise. Not because I don't like people, I love people, but because I would leave these situations completely depleted. Like someone pulled the plug and I'm just drained out of all my energy. Something that takes me days to get back. Over time, I've learned that it's not actually about being in crowds, that I can be there without losing myself. There's energetic protection, there's grounding, there's really being intentional about where I put my attention, and that made a real difference. But I've also stopped fighting something else, the pull towards smaller groups, and the urge towards leaving before most people do. At a party, you'll find me in the corner having a real conversation with 1 or 2 people rather than circulating that room. And at a network event, I'll go deeper with 1 person rather than with 20 business partners because I value deep conversations so much over superficial ones. I cannot even tell. I'd rather collect 1 person's contact rather than 20 business cards. And when I feel that signal, my internal, it's time, then I just leave gracefully, warmly, but without overriding what my body tells me. And here's what I've discovered with this. That's not me failing at social situations. This is me regulating before I even go to full depletion mode. I naturally gravitate towards smaller moments and leaving when I need to, and I never fully hit the wall that way. I don't need a 2-day recovery. I come home tired, but in a good way. And it took me a long time, a lot of canceled plans, a lot of exhaustion to understand the difference between those two. So, these are 5 social habits as a highly sensitive person that nobody ever put on a social skill course. Not that I've taken one. Maybe I should have. Energy scanning before I enter a room, arriving early as an act of empathy, finding the unseen person in the group, giving feedback in a very precise and neutral way, and leaving before I reach depletion. Not because I don't want to be there, but because I want to be myself when I get home. And that's not things that I decided consciously to do. That's things that my sensitivity developed for me and pointed me towards, and things that I've learned to not apologize for again. And if any of these are yours too, I really would love to know in the comment which one feels most like, that's me. And if you're a highly sensitive person and you run a business and you're a mother and you want a space where none of this needs explaining, then the Sensitive Leaders Collective is for you. The link is below. I would love, love, love to invite you in. And part 3 about this is coming. This one is about business habits and specifically and behind the scenes rituals that I do as an HSP running a business, actually too, that helps me do that in a sustainable, healthy, and kind way for myself. See you there.